All right, my next guest will face Ryan Fredette on July the 30th at NEF 48. And of course, it is David Burke on the show. David, how you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. I appreciate your time. I'm excited for NEF 48. It's going to be at Thompson's Point, right down there on the water in southern Maine. It's going to be it's probably going to be really hot, but it's going to be a fantastic venue, and a lot of people will be there excited for a great night of fights. Before we dive into all of that, I want to recap your debut. Not a whole lot of footage to go on because you went in there, got in and out very quick, and finished David McCarty at NEF 47 in like what, 20 seconds. So what was the game plan for you, man? Was it just to go in there and starch him on the feet, or were you planning on, maybe utilizing your wrestling and thinking this fight might go deep into the third round, maybe?
I going into this whole MMA thing is like I like had my time wrestling, and like I kind of look at it as like I want to go in there and fight, like, and throw hands and get knockouts and finishes. But with that being said, that being my first fight, I knew my wrestling was way better than his, and I knew that I'd have him beat there. So standing with him probably would have given him the only chance he could have had to beat me. Shit happens, but I think that was my best way to beat that guy, particularly, was take him down and just not give him any opportunity to do anything to me. And that's what I did. That was the game plan. But yeah, I think in hindsight, maybe I would have liked to have spent a little more time in the cage for that first fight. Got some real time on the feet, but I can't complain. It just, once I got out there, it kind of just training kind of took over to some extent. So naturally I kind of resorted to that wrestling right away. And that was my style. Like when I competed in wrestling matches, is I was like right away just getting after it. So that's just how I am.
But you just have, it looks like you have so much power, man. When you were hitting him there, I mean, it didn't take much before the refs got in there and called the fight. Is that something that your coaches and your teammates tell you, just how much power you have?
Yeah, like we gotta definitely, it's something that in practice, and especially sparring, like you don't get to really pull that out all the time, because you got to take care of your partners and whatnot. But yeah, I've known that I could knock people out. I've knocked people out before. It's just, yeah, it just comes natural to me. Like it's just something I'm gifted with, but that, it really accents the wrestling base well. So it's like I can put myself in a good position to utilize that power the way I want to. But like my striking, man, like I've been working on that like crazy, and it's just something that it's gonna come along as I train more and more, but it's still something that I'm getting crisp with, that really good clean striking. So
Well, you said that you've knocked out people before. That was your debut fight. So we're not talking in training, right? When did you knock people out before?
I've had a couple, I've always been interested in fighting one way or another, but yeah, I've had a couple unsanctioned fights that have went my way. I've also lost some too. So, it's a crazy thing to do, really. It's just, you can train as much as you want, but it's an unpredictable sport. So whether you're doing it or not.
I find it fascinating the weight classes that certain people end up at, and you're fighting at 185 again. I mean, you look to be a pretty big guy. How big do you typically get? What's like the heaviest you can get?
I showed up to Nostos in January at like 230, 225. But I was coming off of 2 years of just lifting weights like every single day, eating a bunch of food. Typically nowadays, my weight, the highest that I'll let it get is like 205. But if I were to not practice and not watch my diet and just do whatever I wanted to, I could easily get to 215, 220 again, no problem. But I could honestly, on the other side of things, staying tough to that diet and training hard and getting a good sweat in every day, I think I can make 170. You know, maybe not something that is necessary for me to do at this point in my career, but you never know down the road. It's definitely an option for me. So I like to have some freedom to choose where I go, but I'm comfortable wherever. Like I don't feel like I need to go that low right now. So 185 is good for me.
How tall are you?
6 feet.
Okay. And how old are you?
26. I'm turning 27 this year.
Okay. So you're not even in your athletic prime yet. That's still in front of you. So having said that, what are your goals as a mixed martial artist? What are you hoping to achieve?
You know, I kind of like I love, like, you know, I used to watch UFC with my dad growing up, and he got me into it back in like some of the first fights I saw were like Chuck Liddell and Tito, and like Anderson Silva when he was beating Rich Franklin a couple times, and like that was like the era kind of where I got into it. But like I've always had a love for it, and like I love fighting, and like you know, I kind of fizzled out with the wrestling, you know, didn't have the best grades and whatnot, so I didn't get to like pursue that through college. And that's one thing I would have liked to have done. But now I can't, you know, and in that time I kind of wrote myself off from fighting because I was in really good shape when I left. I was like at my peak, you know, athletically at one point when had a really good wrestling season my senior year, and then I stopped, and then all that went away physically. You know, I wasn't working out, wasn't doing any of that. So now, you know, I kind of, something just clicked to me. I just wanted to go for it again. And now that I never thought I'd be in this type of shape again and like able to compete. So now that like I'm here and I'm back at it, it's like I just want to go as far as I can with it. Like I love this lifestyle I'm living, you know. This is like, it's almost like a dream lifestyle. Like I get to train all the time, spar all the time, and now it's just like I'm competing against these guys. Like it's awesome. So really, to answer your question, I'd like to fight professionally sooner than later, and just make a run, just see what I can do, you know.
Yeah, well, geez, after your debut,
Obviously making money from fighting is good too, you know. Like that's a dangerous thing to do, and I feel like past a certain point, if you're not making money in some way from it, then it's just a hobby, and you got to treat it like that. But I'm not treating it as like just a hobby right now, you know. So
how are you making money right now? Do you have a day job, or are you personal training? Like tell me what your normal week is like.
normal week. So before the last fight, I was still working full time, just doing like landscape and hardscape stuff. But I've actually, after that first fight, I dialed back all of that so I can train more. So I work a couple days a week. I'm in a situation where I'm renting out a couple bedrooms from an older couple that they're really good people, but I have cheap rent, so it gives me that leeway to kind of pick my hours work wise and then train as much as I want. So I'm in the gym as much as I can. I take a day off here and there, whatever. But yeah, so basically when I'm not in the gym, I'm recovering or working. Not too much though. I like to work in the gym now. So but
Okay.
I haven't done any like private lessons or any training like that. You know, I'd like to with some wrestling stuff if anyone wanted it. It's something I've talked about doing. But I do on Sundays, I coach the a 3 to 6 year old wrestling program and 7 to 12 year olds. So I'm doing a little bit of coaching there. So it's fun.
Yeah, very, very cool. Who are your main training partners when you're in there getting after it at Nostos?
So I got it's crazy. Like these sparring days too are just like, these rounds we're getting in they're insane. But Kyle Hill he's a beast. Brody McDougal, he's a savage. They're all savages. Like it's crazy. Ross Danner, you know him. Cody Lightfoot, he's been one of my main drill partners. Ian Morrison, I don't think he's competed yet, but he's always working with me in there. He's like a 205 or heavyweight. He's always working with me, always holding mitts for me. Like he's an awesome guy to work with too. Those are the main guys though. Mm-hmm. I'm sure I'm missing a couple, but I try to work with everyone too, not just, if there's people smaller than me, I work with them too, people bigger than me, whatever, just everyone in there. Everyone's on the same mission, so it's good to be around them.
I want to ask you about a couple of those guys. Let's start with Cody Lightfoot. How big is he?
Honestly, I don't know exactly where his weight is right now, but he's definitely a heavyweight. Physically, he's super strong. He hits really hard, and he's someone that, like, when we have live rounds, you got to be smart. You got to pick your shots wisely. I can't just shoot in and muscle through double legs on him. I got to really be smart with my setups and whatnot. But he's definitely, I might be a little taller than him though too. It might maybe a little more rangy, but yeah, he's weight wise, he's probably got a good 40 pounds of me or so, something like that.
I find the heavyweight division so interesting and unique because, it goes all the way from 206 to 265. There really should be, I feel like, a couple of weight classes somewhere in the middle. And, Raz Hilton, his opponent, is very tall, very long, and he walks around at 240-ish. So break that fight down for me. That's the main event for NEF 48. A lot of people are looking forward to that. Is this just the case where Raz is going to have to stuff takedowns and keep it on the feet? Is he going to even be able to do that with Cody?
That's like, Cody's a good wrestler. There's always, like, his name's Raz. He's always going to have, like, he's going to have to worry about being taken down because it's not where you want to be with Cody. But with that being said, like, Cody's setting up those shots with his hands or however he chooses to do so. Like, you can't eat a lot of shots from Cody either. So if that fight stays standing, I like Cody, and that if it goes to the ground, I like Cody too. So it's just, it's going to be Cody's a tough guy. It's like, he's a tough guy. He knows what he's doing. It's like one of those guys where you can't, you got to be smart. Like, you got to be smart with someone like him because he's powerful. Like, he can knock you out. So you got to be alert.
I'm looking forward to that main event. A couple other fights I'm looking forward to. You got Kyle Hill, who's fighting for the 170 title against Curtis Ouellette. And then Nathaniel Grimard is back in there, another 2-0 professional fighter, someone that has a huge upside. How are both of them looking in camp thus far?
They're, like, amazing. They always do. Like, Nathaniel's a workhorse. Like, I think he's basically been in fight camp for ever at this point, because he just takes fight after fight after fight, and like he truly is like one of the hardest working guys that in there for sure. Not that no one else is, everyone's hard working, but he's a leader in the gym for sure. And as far as Kyle Hill is concerned, that kid is a fucking animal. I don't know if I can swear or not, but
right ahead.
Animal. Like, me and him have had some really good rounds. Like, his jiu-jitsu, he's very dangerous on the ground. His stand-up he's very well-rounded, and he's he's a technician, and he's just like a student of the game. Like, he's a really good coach too. He's just all around, like, he does so much in that gym for everyone too. It's just being around someone like that is really good. I think he's been at it since he was like 15 or something, so he's what, 22 or 21 now or something like that. He's really good. That's a tough fight for anyone. It's hard to imagine it not going his way, honestly. I have an idea how I think that fight's going to end. I'll keep that to myself, but I think that it's going to be an eye-opener for everyone. They're going to realize how good Kyle really is.
Well, Nostos is very well represented here for NEF 48. You guys are going to be there in full force. But this is outside, as I mentioned earlier. And the only thing I can kind of compare it to is, I don't know if you went down there for, what was it? I think it was NEF 44, 45 when they were in New Hampshire. And it was like, it must have been like fighting in a sauna. That in that dome, it was so hot. And I imagine it's going to be somewhat similar here, fighting outside on the middle of summer at Thompson's Point. Are you guys preparing for that in camp? Like, are you jacking up the heat to sweat even more?
You take one step into that room, like on a hot summer day, and you don't need to jack up the heat at all. It's already jacked up and it's brutal. And I hope that on fight night, I hope it's 90 and humid. I hope it's brutal for everyone except for us, because we'll be ready, like it's there really is no way to get prepared for that unless you're training in those conditions. Like, if you're training in a cooler room and you go and step out on July 30th and it's humid out, you're gonna feel that. So I'm all for it. I hope it's brutal. We're all ready for it. But yeah, the Nostos room is definitely a humid place to be right now.
Well, let's talk about your opponent, Ryan Fredette. He's making his debut. He is a decorated wrestler. I guess, one of the best that the state has seen in a while. And I didn't realize this about yourself until we, started talking before the interview, but you're a pretty darn good decorated wrestler yourself. So do you feel like, your wrestling ability is going to be very comparable to his here?
Yeah. I mean, like, I'm no slouch on the mat, man. Like, I had over 150, I had a couple more than 150 varsity wins in high school. I won a state championship, I was 2-time finalist, and I placed at New England's twice. I think that, someone with that type of wrestling is not to be overlooked, but this is a fight, and we're not getting in our wrestling stances and, working that type of stuff with each other. Like, we're gonna be getting hit in the face, and it's a lot of stuff goes out the window when you're taking shots like that. So I'm ready for wherever this fight can go. But as far as like his credentials go and anything like that, it is what it is. It's another, I took the fight because I wanted the challenge, like, I wanted a good fight. And when the fight was offered to me, like, his credentials were listed, and I was like, let's do it, because if I can't take someone out, like, where I'm headed, where I want to be going with the sport, like, I need to be able to take people out with those type of credentials. And I want to be able to take people out with better credentials than him. So it's just a stepping stone to get to where I want to be. That's how I look at it.
Do you feel like he's just going to be shooting to get this to the ground the whole time? Or do you know anything about, maybe his skill set on the feet evolving and being, somewhat dangerous on the feet?
I think that once I start touching him, he's going to be shooting for his life. And that's probably that's what I think is going to happen. Whether he can take me down or not, we'll see. But if he's down to throw down and he wants to have a war, like, I welcome that. Like, I hope he's been working on his stand up. Like I said earlier, I'm trying to fight. Like, I'm not necessarily looking to wrestle the whole time regardless. So if he's ready to fight, we can fight. If he wants to try to wrestle me, go for it. But he's going to be getting touched. So we'll see how we can deal with that. I think that's going to be the biggest problem for him.
As I mentioned earlier, in your debut fight against David McCarty, I mean, he's a very physically impressive looking guy. He's got muscles on top of muscles, and you went in there and just starched him, man. You looked so good in that short 20 seconds that we saw you in your debut fight. Is this going to be another quick fight, or do you feel like this is going to maybe get into the second or third round?
We'll see what kind of chin this kid has. I think that's what it comes down to. Like, if he's never, I don't know what kind of work he's putting in. I don't know who he's sparring with. I don't know any of that, but I know what I can do, and I know the shots I can take. And I'm gonna put his chin to the test. That's my plan. So we'll see what he can do. But if he makes it out of the first, good for him. Then he's got to do it again and again. So, I'm pretty confident in myself. But
I can't wait for this fight, man. Before we get on out of here, I hear your dog in the background. I'm a big dog lover. So what kind of dog you got? Let's give him a cameo. I'd like to see him.
Well, this dog isn't my dog. This is a friend's dog, but this is Daisy. Daisy. Yeah, that's Daisy. But I have a bull, and I live with 4 other ones. So there's like 5 pit bulls in this house, or Staffordshire Terriers, whatever you want to call them. But yeah, so that was them. I couldn't get her out of the cage, but I was gonna have a snake around my neck. I was gonna be the first person to have a snake in the interview, but I couldn't. She wasn't too happy with me today, so I had to leave her in there.
Well, what kind of a snake are we talking?
Python.
A python. Okay. Wow. I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm glad you left it in the cage. Some people have a phobia of spiders. That's me with snakes and sharks, man. I don't know what it is, but those two, they terrify me. So I probably wouldn't have been able to get through the interview if he had the python out there. How big is it?
Like 3.5 feet.
Oh my goodness. So you saying she's not happy with you? Like what would she do if she's not happy?
Well, she wasn't, like, when I went to take her out, she was kind of just in a position to where she just wasn't really wanting to be touched today. I think she's ready for some food. So she was kind of more looking to eat rather than be played with and picked up.
Fair enough. Okay. Well, I'm sure you got to go find some mice or something to feed the girl, but I'll leave it at that, man. I definitely don't want to be seeing the snake, but I'm excited to see you in action again, July 30th, NEF 48, David Burke, Ryan Fredette, all goes down in a middleweight bout. Before I do let you go, man, I want to please give you the floor. Tell people where they can follow you on social media. If you have anyone to thank, any sponsors, the floor is yours.
I got an Instagram, David Burke 1019, and for sponsors we got Hagen's Motor Pool, Hallsbros Roofing, Baked East, Toph Cuts, Premium Wood Services, and I hope I'm not missing any. Oh, Bucky's Cast Iron Cooking in Milton. I think that's all of them. I might have missed 1 or 2, but yeah, and then just big shout out to everyone at Nostos who's helped me get ready for this fight. All my training partners, Devin Powell, Carolyn Powell, just everyone over there is great. So none of this would be possible without them, really.